Hello guys, this is Mike from McProgramming.org. Today I'm going to talk to you about inheritance. Inheritance is a very important object-oriented programming feature. What it is being able to use a class's content um, and making a subclass that inherits from what would be the superclass or parent class. And the way to think of this is a parent and a child, where the parent has, let's say, it has certain variables and certain method, or all variables and methods, um, and that you can create a child class that extends the parent class. That's the keyword in Java is extends, and that will give the child class all of the functionality that the parent class has, plus whatever you add to the child class. So the point of what this is to make a hierarchy of general to specific. And in my case today, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to use the example, let me comment this out so we don't get a bunch of errors. I'm going to go from vehicle to car, and then from car you can keep getting more specific. And the point is if you want to write out, I'm going to have a method, or I'm going to have some variables called the year and the make of a vehicle. Well, a car also has those variables, but to save yourself from coding a lot of extra stuff, it would be nice to just write a simple word extends, and it will throw all of those methods into the child class. So let me start coding so this makes sense. Alright, so we have a driver class. This is where I'm going to instantiate the classes and run them. But let me create parent class or superclass, which is vehicle. And I also wanted y'all to know that the object class in java.lang.object is the superclass of every class in Java. It is the highest of the hierarchy. So everything extends that class. And when you write, let's see, right, private string make. I'm going to come back to that point I was just making about how everything is extended from the object class when I get a little bit more code written in, so I can give you a good example. Here, I'm going to give this vehicle a make and a year, and then we're going to write constructor vehicle that's going to take in the make and the year. So this dot make is make, this dot year is year. Alright. Now let's give it two get methods, and so I don't have to write this all out. What you can do is go to source and say generate getters and setters, and what we're going to want to do is go to get make and get year. I'm not worried about set make or set year for this example. So say OK. And then let's make a toString. There's an automatic toString. If you do not write a toString, that will print out the object's location in memory. And when we write our own toString, that is overriding java.lang.object's toString. So there's one example of how object is the parent class of all classes. But that's not my favorite example. So let's say return, let's say year, give it a little space, close that off, concatenate that with the variable year, and put more quotation marks, and we're going to say new. We're going to start a new line with a \n, which is an escape character for making a new line real quick. We're going to say make space, and concatenate that with make. Okay, so there is our vehicle class. Now what we're going to do is create a subclass of vehicle class that gets more specific, and we're going to call that car. And you can have multiple childs, but in Java you cannot have multiple inheritance, which means, let me write this out. Well, what I mean by that is to make vehicle the parent or superclass of car, you use the keyword extends and then vehicle. And when I say you can't have multiple inheritance, you cannot have an extending more than one thing. You could in C++, and a solution to having multiple extensions, or to not having multiple extensions, is when we get into interfaces. That is, kind of getting around the whole multiple inheritance issue. And as you can see right now, we can add a super constructor to car, but I'm not going to auto-generate that. I'm going to type it out so you can see it in action. So we're going to give this just one variable, or instance variable, and we're going to say public string model. Okay, and now in this constructor, if we want to use to continue the constructor from the vehicle class, we're going to use a new keyword, and it's called super. So let's say public car, and it's going to take in, I'm just going to copy and paste, it's going to take in the same parameters right here, plus model, oops, string model. But since you don't want to have to write this make equals make, because we don't have that up here, we don't have that instantiated, what you do is you call the superclass by saying super, and then in parentheses we're going to say make and year, and put it in like that. There goes all the errors. And then, but model is specific to this car class, so we will still have to instantiate, or point it to model in this way that we've been doing. So this model equals model, and let's give it a get model method. I'll just type that out real quick. Public string get model, no parameters, and just return model. Alright, and now let's make a new toString. Public string toString. Okay, so what we're going to do is just how we use the super keyword right here to create the constructor. What we're going to do in here is also make a super reference to the toString of the super class, which is vehicle. We're going to say return, and we're going to say super dot toString, and then we're going to concatenate that with new line model, and we're going to put in model. Alright, so everything looks good so far, and we're going to run into a few problems with visibility modifiers. And if you know what a visibility modifier is, which I'm probably make a video on that right after this, or I can teach you within this, is private, public, and then there's a new one we're going to get into called protected. So let's start instantiating some of these. Let's just say car C equals new car. This takes in 3 parameters, know what they are, make, year, and model. So for there, and we're going to say Toyota 2010 Avalon. So let's do a sysout of C. Let's see what happens. Okay, so as you can tell, we did not have to write all these codes to get everything within here. We didn't have to repeat the code very much. I mean, we did have to write super, but that did not take but 2 lines of code right here. So it saves a lot of coding when you can make a very general class that you can use in more specific classes, so you don't have to rewrite this. If, let's say that we had a car, a truck, a motorcycle, you know, all these things that take in these same variables and methods, we would have to write that out as many times as things we have. That's a pain. Coders are lazy. We want to not write as much as we have to. So let me show you how the visibility modifier works also. I'm going to do this out, and let me copy that because I'm going to use this a couple times. Let's say C dot get model. Okay, and I'm going to show you, let's say get year for some weird reason. Let's just say that this was a private method. What that means is the only thing that can use this method is the vehicle class. It cannot be seen outside of this class. Car cannot call this. So if I said C dot get, first off, it's not even available, but let me tell you how you put it in. C dot get here. You're going to get a red line, and it says the method get year from the type vehicle is not visible. It says change visibility of get year to default. That's not what I want to do. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it just gives it nothing, which is default. I'm going to give it a public. And then let's do one thing that I wanted to talk about specifically was the protected visibility modifier. And if I go to the subclass or the child class, and I wanted to have a method that says public string, and I wanted to say get make, and which make was defined in the vehicle class as a private variable. So let's say we turn make. Right now you're getting an error. The reason is it says the field vehicle.make is not visible. And the first thing it says is change visibility of make to protected. So if we go to vehicle, as you can see, private means that you cannot change or get information on make or year from outside of this vehicle class. But what we can do in public means you can from any class. But a special case where you want just your child classes to get the information in here, or manipulate it or view it, is change these to protected. And that's what that means, is it is visible and usable by the child class, but nothing else. It's still private to the outside world. So let's go here, and as you can see, that has gone away. And that is the basic description of what inheritance is it shortens your code out. It's a key principle in the object-oriented programming paradigm. So please give a thumbs up to this video. Please subscribe to my channel. And I think the next video will be maybe interfaces. So we can get into interfaces, which is pretty similar to this. So this type of idea of getting methods from a different class. but we're going to use an interface. So thank you all for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you all very much.